Hey everyone, it's Brent, Central Arkansas, and today I'm going to work on a new watering system. Bundle of 10 3/4 inch pipe, 3/4 inch valves, 3/4 inch elbows, 3/4 inch T's, 3/4 inch fittings. This is a 3/4 inch ball valve, and it's slip fitting on both ends. And what I did was I took a piece of 3/4 inch, I cut it to this size, and that's got PVC primer on it, and I stuck it in one end like that, and I put this, which is a 3/4 inch adapter with a 3/4 inch thread on it, just like so, and I glued it to this side of the valve. And now with the ball valve male glued in place here, I took a female version and glued the same small piece, primered and glued in. That way it can be screwed on as such. This allows me to remove the ball valve from the system at any time. What a dreary day. On my deck here I've got the 3/4 inch pipe, and I've got 6 T's in it, and that is to tee off to each of the fawn platforms. And you'll see here that I have a piece of pipe hanging down, and the reason why those are hanging down all the way across is so that these T fittings are glued in the exact same direction all the way down. These will come out, and that valve I showed you about will be glued in. It's not glued in now, but when it is, it'll be pushed in a little further. Hopefully you won't see that purple primer. Here's a very, very small drill bit. Comes in a package of 12. I think it was like $3 or $4 on Amazon. It's a number 57 drill bit. About drilling the holes, I took a T here, slipped it in so it's nice and steady. Slipped it in here. That prevents this from turning. I started down here on the opposite end. Came in 6 inches to allow for the first, the ball attaching, and this will be halfway the radius of the first bucket, 6 inches, and then I went a foot all the way along. And all I'm going to do is take that number 57 drill bit and drill it right on top. Now the lettering is pretty close all the way up and down one side. The lettering is pretty close to even all the way down the pipe, but I think it's a little better to actually go from what you feel is the absolute top of the pipe. Down here on the hose end where the hose plugs in, I've got a male here. I originally had a female. You know, it's a PV slip valve, and I cut that off because it was leaking here. Looking down the 10-foot span here, well, it's actually more than 10 foot. There's a valve every 5 foot. But on the second to last one down there, there is the 10-foot piece that's going to water the individual buckets. And this is the initial test. So let's turn it on here. And bring you down here to see what it's going to do. Whoa. That is a whole lot more than I thought it would be. Those things are flat out sailing. That's some high pressure. That's the purpose of this valve here in each one. This is not glued here. It's just pressed in. But you can take and monitor. See here? Let me bring you down closer. You can, using this valve, you can get it from a slow to nothing to way up. Man, and that's some height. That's higher than my roof. But the reason why we do that, there you go. See, that's a pretty good deal. That's why I did that. And some of these valves are leaking where they're screwed in, and that's because I haven't put the Teflon tape on them yet. There's one there, and right now I've only got one hole in each place, and that is because the water pressure will drop off coming from that 12-volt pump, hydroponic pump, and the further away from the pump it is, the less pressure is going to be, so I want to make sure that I have equal pressure. So right now there's only one hole per bucket, and that'll continue through all 7 of these. Everything is hooked up. Got the valves Teflon taped. Everything is done. Now it's time for a dry run. This is exactly how my setup is in the greenhouse. This is what I'm going to use in the greenhouse. And so the dry run should be used with my actual pump that I use in the greenhouse. So that's what that is right there. Now it's going to deplete this 5-gallon bucket quickly, so I've got a water hose that I'm going to run water in here constantly while we do this dry run. Alright, let's begin. I've got the water filled to this point. And now to do 2 things. I need to supply the water and plug in the pump. Pump is on. You can see the deck is dry. So what you see is what I'll see. Okay, looks like there's a little bit of an issue at the pump. Some coming out from the joint. Otherwise, I've got a good bit in here going. Let me see if I can correct that and bring you back. Everything seems to be working with the pump. I'll take a quick look down here. All the streams are high. They're shooting about 5 foot, would be my guess. Maybe a little less. Over here, that one's partially clogged. I'm going to take and wallow out the ones that are clogged. But even here, the furthest point away is still about the same height. Okay, you can see that stream's doing good, so is that one. But this one is barely dribbling. So I'm taking a little tool that I'd use to drill it with, finding the hole, and I'm going to use this to, oh, voila, fixed. So new plumbing with PVC goes around to a Y. The left Y, or the top of the video, is for a clean out / pump it wherever else I want, and the right one, or the bottom, goes to all the fawn platforms.